What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another classical reaction. And indeed, I was supposed to have done the 2026 version of Classical Days by now, but everything did get a bit pushed back, partially because of what happened to my car. Long story short, I made a video a few days ago where I talked about an unexpected financial burden that I'm dealing with, and I made an appeal, and the response that I've gotten to that appeal has been amazing. And if you are one of the folks who've contributed in one of a handful of ways, I really, really, really appreciate that. But the point is, that kind of threw it off, and then now that I did make that appeal, and I've gotten a lot of support and material assistance from you fine folks out there, I don't want to necessarily do Classical Days right away, because I know a lot of people who follow my channel don't follow it for the classical reactions, and it'd be weird to solicit a bunch of donations and then immediately do something that most people don't follow. So I think I will wait another couple of weeks, but my new plan is to do the week of Classical Days, meaning a week of classical specific reactions where I do entire symphonies and concertos and sonatas and so on. So yes, by the end of August, my plan is to do Classical Days 2026. But in the meantime, I'm going to do at least one more classical reaction before that, and I figured it would be smart to do a one-off type of piece, rather than the first movement of a 3-movement concerto or a 4-movement symphony. So I decided to do an overture, which, typically is the opening musical-only piece that precedes an opera or some larger work. And indeed, I have 2 CDs from classical music label Amadeus, both of which are back from the 90s, Famous Overtures and Famous Overtures 2. I do believe there was one that preceded both of these, and it was like Famous Operatic Overtures or Operetta Overtures. I don't actually have that one, but I do have Famous Overtures Volume 1 and Volume 2. And we're going to listen to one of the overtures from the first volume, which is, or in fact, they're both. Both Volumes 1 and 2 are conducted by Antonio de Almeida and performed by the Moscow Symphony Orchestra. So yes, we're going to listen to an overture by Antonin Dvořák. People may know, one of my very favorite composers, and we're going to listen to his Carnival overture, which is his Opus 92 work. So yes, I don't in the moment remember a whole lot about this. I think it was written in the late 19th century, like some of his most famous works, but I do believe it's in a major key, if I'm remembering correctly. And yes, it's vivacious, it's got a lot of energy, it has a lot of ostentation in a very good way. So yeah, now it does go through some different phases, and there are different sections where the mood and vibe changes, but overall I would say it's a very energetic and vivacious piece. So again, let's listen to the Carnival Overture by Antonin Dvořák, which, as I said, is the Opus 92 work from him, and the performance is by the Moscow Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Antonio de Almeida. Talk about like a fireworks style ending. And the idea, and in fact, now that I think about it, I don't know if this is actually an overture that, like most overtures, precedes an opera. Though the point I was going to make, and it's definitely true of some like Rossini overtures. I did a whole run of Rossini overture reactions a little while back, and I believe I commented during that some of them, they're so incredible and big and spectacular. The idea that like that piece ends and it's like, oh, now we're gonna watch the opera that you all came here to see. Be like, dude, I got my money's worth with that 7-minute overture. Like, forget about it. But this one, I believe it's part of like a 3 overture set that Dvořák did, and I forget what it's called. Let me look it up. But let me see what we can do here. Okay, so the concert overture, Opus 92, it is in A major. It was written in 1891. Oh, okay, so it's part of his Nature, Life, and Love trilogy of overtures, and it represents the second part, Life. The other two are In Nature's Realm. I do have that, on another CD, as I do his Othello overture, which is the one that stands in for love. So it goes In Nature's Realm, Carnival overture, and Othello, and they're opus 91, 92, and 93. So indeed, I do not believe they are part of an opera, but they were part of a suite of overtures that he did around the themes Nature, Life, and Love. It's an A major scored for 2 flutes, piccolo. I knew there were multiple flutes in there, and maybe a piccolo, but yeah, 2 flutes, piccolo, 2 oboes, English horn, 2 clarinets, 2 bassoons, 4 horns, 2 trumpets, 3 trombones, tuba, timpani, triangle, I definitely heard the triangles in there, cymbals, tambourine, I don't know if I noticed that, harp, and strings. Duration approximately 10 minutes, yeah, here it's 9 minutes and 40 seconds. He did actually perform it in both Prague and Vienna in the 1890s with him conducting it, so that would have been pretty amazing. But yes, ultimately the brass is very big in this one. But you do hear everything. There's parts where you definitely hear the woodwinds giving a lot of atmosphere. And as I said, it's like big and vivacious, and then it goes a bit more, what's the right word? Like flowing. And then there's a part that comes in the middle, and I kind of responded to it, where it almost feels a bit dark and dangerous, and then it explodes and is boisterous again, and it flows a little more, and then that fireworks conclusion, where it feels, there's multiple runs with the big orchestra hits, the big brass flourishes, where like, okay, it could end here, but nope, we're doing another one, and then another, sledgehammer hit of the orchestra. So yeah, he really went for a big finish on that one. And I guess it does make sense a little bit more in the context of, like, there's not an opera that would follow this. This was the piece in of itself, though, as I said, or as I reminded myself of with the courtesy or with the assistance of Wikipedia, it was part of a 3 set of overtures that he did. So, just a really cool piece. I love it. As I said, Classical Days 2026 will be coming later this month. This probably will be the last classical reaction beforehand. And then when we get to that, my plan is to do at least a symphony one night, maybe a concerto and a sonata the next night, maybe a few overtures the next night. Like, I'm going to try to do reactions on each of the nights, which in the last several months I've kind of fallen into a groove which I enjoy, doing audio reactions on Sunday mornings, Wednesday mornings, and Thursday mornings. I'm going to continue with that, but during Classical Days I'm going to break from it a little bit, and I'll do at least one piece on every day of that week. And then, probably we'll finish it on a Saturday and get back into the normal groove on a Sunday. That's what I would imagine. In any case, let me know what you think of this performance. Shout out to the Moscow Symphony Orchestra, and is it Antonio de Almeida? Yeah, Antonio de Almeida, for a very lovely performance, and I will see you next time. Peace.